Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something really powerful for your health and well-being. It's called self-compassion. We're going to talk about how you can take that inner critic, you know the one, and turn it into your biggest ally.
All right, let me ask you something. Think about the last time you made a mistake. Maybe you dropped your keys or you were running late for something important. What's the first thing you said to yourself? What did that little voice in your head sound like? Yeah, for a lot of us, it's not exactly a friendly voice, is it? Something like this, right? Here you go again. Does that sound familiar? Yep, that's the inner critic. It just pops up, totally automatic, super harsh, and always ready to judge. But here's the thing. What if there was another way? What if we could actually learn to respond differently?
Okay, so let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with what self-compassion even is, then we'll check out the science behind it. We'll talk about how to go from critic to ally, how to weave this into your daily life, and finally, why it's a skill that anyone can build.
All right, section 1. So what are we really talking about with self-compassion? A lot of people hear that and think, oh, so it's just being nice to myself? Like positive thinking? Or maybe it sounds like you're just letting yourself off the hook for things. But it's actually way more than that. It's a very specific, structured practice. You know, at its heart, it's actually pretty simple. Think about it this way. A good friend of yours is having a really tough time. They messed up. What would you say to them? You'd be kind, right? Supportive? Well, self-compassion is just about taking that same kindness, that same understanding, and pointing it back at yourself.
And this whole idea is really built on 3 key parts that all have to work together. It kicks off with mindfulness. This just means you notice, hey, I'm hurting right now, or this is difficult, without piling on any judgment. Once you do that, you open the door for step 2, self-kindness. That's where you actively choose to be warm and gentle with yourself, instead of critical. And then, the third part, which is so important, is common humanity. This is the realization that, hey, struggling is part of being human. You are not the only one going through this. And this is where we see a really big difference between self-compassion and something like self-esteem. See, self-esteem is usually based on evaluating yourself. Am I good enough? Did I win? How do I stack up against others? And because of that, it's super fragile. It can completely fall apart when you fail. But self-compassion, that's all about acceptance. It's the stable, solid source of support that's there for you no matter what, especially when you fail. Okay, we have to bust a big myth right here. A lot of people hear self-compassion and they immediately think it's the same as self-pity. You know, like you're just gonna sit around feeling sorry for yourself and making excuses. And that is just not what this is about at all. The reality is totally the opposite. This isn't weakness. It's actually an incredible source of strength. It's what builds resilience. It absolutely motivates you to do better and to grow, but it does it with encouragement and care, not with criticism and shame.
All right, moving on. And look, this isn't just some feel-good, fluffy idea. It's actually backed by some really cool science. When you practice self-compassion, it literally creates measurable positive changes in your brain and in your body.
I mean, the research is pretty clear. Study after study links being more self-compassionate to lower depression, less stress, and just greater satisfaction with life. It actually helps calm down your body's stress response, which can lead to less inflammation. You're basically learning how to actively soothe your own nervous system. How cool is that?
And this quote here really brings it all back down to earth. Let's be real. Is being self-compassionate going to magically stop a chronic illness like MS from relapsing? Of course not. That's not what this is about. But what it will do is help you cope. It will be a supportive tool for you as you go through those hard times. It's not a cure. It's a way to be resilient.
Okay, so now we know what it is and we know why it's so good for us. But the big question is, how do you actually do it? So in this next section, let's get super practical with some real steps you can take to turn that critic into an ally. So the first thing is just to realize that you've got these 2 different voices inside you. There's the inner critic. That's the one that's usually on autopilot. It's just this constant low hum of negativity and shame that we might not even notice anymore. And then there's the inner ally. And this one's different. It's a conscious choice. It's the voice that encourages and comforts. The whole game is learning to catch the critic and then deliberately, consciously choose the ally. So here's a really simple but super powerful exercise you can try. Step 1, just notice the negative thought. That's it.
Just catch it. Step 2, ask yourself the friend question. Would I ever say this to a friend I really care about? And the answer is almost always a hard no. So, step 3, replace that critical voice with the kinder one you'd use for your friend.
Here's another great one, especially when you're feeling really stressed. It's a mindful pause. Just place a hand over your heart. That physical touch is actually really soothing. Take a nice, gentle breath to ground yourself, and then ask yourself this simple question. What do I need right now? See how that shifts everything? You go from reacting with criticism to responding with actual care.
And this is such a perfect example of how simple this can be. It doesn't have to be some huge dramatic thing. One of the speakers in our source material told this story about how she put on a headband because she hadn't washed her hair. And instead of beating herself up about it or stressing about how she looked, she just accepted it. It was a choice. She said, you know what? I'm going to be okay with this. That's not laziness. That's a small, deliberate act of self-kindness, saving her energy for things that actually matter.
So let's talk about making this a real, consistent habit. Because this isn't just a tool you pull out for major emergencies. The real magic happens when you start weaving it into the small moments of your everyday life. Here are a few concrete things you can try. Maybe some mirror talk, just one kind thing to yourself in the mirror each day. Or you could try a journal. Every night, write down one thing you're grateful for and one way you were kind to yourself. You could even write a letter to your future self, a really supportive one that you can open and read when you hit a rough patch. And don't forget this one, setting boundaries. Just saying no to things that drain you, that is a huge act of self-kindness. And while you're trying these things, it's so important to keep coming back to that idea of common humanity. Remember that. Your inner critic loves to tell you that you're the only one who messes up like this, the only one who feels this way. But that's its biggest lie. The truth is, everyone struggles. Everyone is imperfect. Hardship is a universal human experience. Just remembering that you're not alone in this, that is so incredibly healing. All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's land on what is maybe the most empowering idea of all, which is really about how we think about self-compassion itself. Here's the key takeaway. Self-compassion is a skill. It's not a personality trait that you're either born with or you're not. It's a muscle. And just like going to the gym, it's going to feel a little weird and awkward at first. But the more you practice it in small, consistent ways, the stronger that muscle gets. It becomes more natural, and it's right there for you when you really need it. And this classic quote just gets right to the heart of it all. I mean, think about it. Think about all the love, the kindness, the support that you so easily give to your friends, your family, the people you care about. The whole point here is to realize that you, yes, you, are just as deserving of that same exact care as anybody else on the planet. So, we'll leave you with this one last question to really think about. The relationship you have with yourself. It's the longest and most important one of your entire life. So who do you want to be in that relationship? Do you want to be your own worst critic or your strongest, most loyal supporter? The choice is yours, and you make it one small, kind step at a time.